big, convoluted, stressful mess. And you've got people bringing that home with them, those frustrations, plus you have bipolar disorders, you have social disorders. And when that happens, you combine that with maybe someone had a near-death experience or a parent that's going through near-death problems, or they're sick or dying. You add that on to everything else, and yes, you can create these negative environments. And then I don't know if it really creates like a tear in your personality or your family cohesiveness or why this happens, but then the negative attracts the negative energy, and in jumps a demon or a demon-like entity or a lower vibration type entity, and you have a problem because it's feeding on all this stress and mess that we have nowadays, this constant bombardment of EMF, EVPs, or whatever from your phones and your radioactive everything. It's amazing we don't go in the dark.
That's the thing that I was going to ask you about too. And I knew when you brought Father Wesley, and I'll have to tell you a little story that I really made him laugh at the Roach Coach. But that they brought in, the food truck. I won't call it a Roach Coach because it was pretty good food, supposedly.
It was good food,
But I knew that I had seen a lot of talk lately of the demonic cases that are on the rise as far as being reported. Now, I don't know if a lot of that is a valid, actual statement because of the fact that there are so many shows out there and movies and things like that people sit there and go, oh crap, with anything that happens in their house, even if it could be logically explained by, nature or natural causes, they go straight to the demonic. Oh my God, I have a demon in my house, and then their whole house is starting to wig out. Well, then that is also a high stress environment, and then they finally end up calling a team, and they've already mustered up some negative nastiness, in their house. But it's not, on most times, at least not that I've seen, an actual demon.
No.
Now, it can be a nasty, bitchy, cranky entity that, like they say, if they were that way on Earth, they're going to be that way in death. Here in living, they're going to be that way in death, too. They're going to be kind of cranky. So, I don't know, but it just depends on the level of nastiness, I guess, that the family's going through.
Basically, if you're asking, is there a rise in these cases, there's a rise in the reporting. But the truth of the matter is, I don't know that there's a rise. I think there's a rise in recognition. I think that because you have so many TV shows now that actually, it's just like ghost hunting. I was a closet ghost hunter for years, but you didn't come out and tell people that because that's kind of crazy. And it's the same thing with these now. It's okay. It's okay to talk about there might have a demon, but I emphasize you've got to be brave enough to ask the right questions. For instance, I'll tell you a really good example, and it'll be a perfect example. I had a little gal that called in a couple of years ago, and judging by the voice, she was probably between 12 and 14 would be my guess. And she was just a sweet little thing. She was so upset. She said, God help us. We've got a demon. My mom is possessed. And I'm like, okay, what are we talking about here? She said, my mom is the nicest person. She's been the best mother in the whole world. She would help anybody. I don't care if she didn't know you, she would help you. She said, but lately she just goes off on these tangents, and she gets angry, and she cries, and she screams, and I don't know why. I don't even know if she knows why she's mad, but she's scaring me, and I don't know what's wrong with her. And all of a sudden, in the background, I hear a male voice, honey, put down the phone. I told you it's menopause.
Oh.
So do you see why it's important to ask the right questions? Because things like menopause, midlife crisis, puberty, teenage stress, multitasking, these things all cause very, very negative environments. And if that poor child thought her mother was possessed and really was a rational explanation, I'm telling you, if you've never been around somebody going through menopause,
the reason I'm laughing is because I'm sorry, but I am around someone going through it right now, and I feel for them.
Yeah,
and they're even talking to, I mean, it's crazy, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm not rushing that at all.
No, see, that's exactly, and I'm sorry, I definitely could not laugh at that moment, but it's like, it's not funny to that poor little gal. It's not funny.
No.
But her dad in the background, which I assume that's who it was, honey, put down the phone. It's I told you, it's menopause. He understood, but this poor little gal did not. And so, again, you could have called in a whole team if Dad hadn't been there, because Mom's possessed, and then could have found out, poor lady's going through menopause. How embarrassing,
Oh, no doubt. He's like,
again,
I'm having a hot flash. Bring me a fan and shut out.
Yes, well, and that's one of the things. She's like, her face turns red, and she doesn't even look like herself, and I just don't know what to say. Oh, Lord, this poor gal.
Great. I mean, I feel bad, but you got to laugh now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Seriously.
And really, think about it. That's the perfect example. If you don't interview your people and you don't find out what's really going on with that family, you could embarrass yourself and everyone else around them. I mean, that's, and I knew because my mom went through it, and I'm like, oh, good Lord, who is this woman?
Right? Who is she, and what did she do with my mother? Oh, my God. Simmer down now.
So, yeah. So, really,
is there a rise in
reports? Is there a rise in reports? Yes, but is there also a rise in awareness due to TV shows and stress? Yes. So,
well, and you look at the world. You look at what's going on in our world right now, and all the BS and all the crap, and we're not even going to go there because I don't like negative. That's why I don't watch the news anymore, because this empath can't handle it. It's too much for me. I have to have positive. I cannot do all that. It's too heavy, and I don't like it.
Into a store.
Yeah, it is, right?
Go
but
to
it's
the
like
grocery store. Oof.
You're scared to even go anywhere now because, good God, everybody's like got an issue with something, and it's like, well, you can't even talk to anybody. So that's probably got a lot of to do with the extreme rise, and even I've been noticing suicides even lately, a lot more than I had, and it's so scary. I'm like, oh, that's so awful, and
people think
I
it's
feel
that
for
bad
these
that
people.
they got to leave,
Yeah.
It's extreme.
That they try to hurry up the inevitable, that it's going to happen, but they take their time doing it. I mean, I'm sorry, but I've got mixed issues with that too, and I know that it can get deep and dark, and I know some of these people that I'm not going to even belittle that at all, because I've been there, and I have friends with PTSD, and I have friends with deep depression, and I am not saying that it's not, it's not hard as hell to deal with. But I hope that if they're listening to this show, at least they know that there is a place to call, that they can get help, and please don't think that you have to leave this earth, to deal with things that are happening. I know this world is getting crazier by the day.
But
I think it's not getting crazier. It's just that we have so much media that tells us about how much crazier it is.
Yes, if you look back throughout time, crazy things happened, but they weren't talked about.
Right.
You
didn't know too much about it from one part of the country to the other.
Is there really more murder? No, you just didn't hear about it because it was too horrific and people didn't want that. or if they were going to tell you about the murders, it would be on 10 o'clock news instead of midstream all over the Internet.
Right.
We didn't have internet,
and it's just crazy. Yeah, exactly. We didn't even have cell phones. My son's like, he just got a new game for his birthday Sunday, and it's like, dude, you have every freaking game console known to man. I said, you know what I had? I had Atari. The thing had paddles and a little ball that you knocked bricks down, and it was like, doop, doop, doop. And then we got Pac-Man, and we thought we were the deal then, We had freaking Pac-Man.
And then
he's got all this stuff that looks like a freaking movie you're watching. I'm like, oh, my God, man.
I know. It's a crazy 3D effect.
It is. It's great, though. I mean, I'm like, that's awesome. I wish they had that when I was a kid. But
No,
back
to
to...
think about how much time you'd be back in the house.
Oh, that's true, and I liked playing outside till the lights came on. Yeah, that was fun. They're missing out on that.
Yeah.
Back to what we were talking about, because, our ADD went that way with the squirrel.
Oh, yeah.
The demonic cases, on the flip side of that, what's your take on, or what's your belief, because I know you believe in them, guardian angels?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I definitely believe in them because, well, I mean,
can't live on without it.
I can't think of a time where there have been many times where I should have been dead. I should have been dead. Something's almost like the hand of God saved me. I had a horse that I love riding. I've been riding since I was a little girl, and I had this lovely horse. She was a great horse, but something in the ditch spooked her, and she ran back on the concrete. And, she was running back on a gravel road, and then when she hit the concrete, her feet slid. So she came to a halting stop, and I kind of went like a propelled right over her saddle onto the concrete. And I should have been dead. I mean, there's just, I was like catapulted. And there are other times I was thrown through a barbed wire fence, fell out of a 30-foot haymow onto cement. There are many times that you just know that the hand of God somehow or another has grabbed you and saved you for another day. So, yeah, and what about those little, the thing they call conscious? What about those little whisperings in your ear that tell you, you might not want to go that way, something going on there, and you don't go that way.
A couple minutes before you get in the car. Hold on. You ain't ready to go just yet. Just give it a minute.
And I have gotten to the point where I don't get so frustrated like I used to when I was a kid because I didn't get to go where I don't get to leave on time. Every time I get delayed. Every time I find out later there was an accident or so. Yeah, I definitely believe in guardian angels. Definitely.
So they have you here for a purpose. God has you here for a purpose, or your higher power, whatever you choose to call it.
Exactly.
And the guardian angels are the ones that watch over you. And this is where I get kind of confused. Not really confused, but when I'm trying to get protected and I'm like, I call on my spirit guides and my guardian angels, I'm not real sure about my spirit guides. That's the thing. I know who one or two of my guardian angels are, but I have no idea about my spirit guides. And I'm like, how do you find that out? I mean, what do you think about the spirit guide thing, and how do you know yours? And
no, I don't really know my spirit guides because I have faith. I mean, I'm sure I have them. Matter of fact, I think I've probably seen them.
But you don't have them by name.
No, I don't, and I don't worry about that because I think that comes with time and meditation. Everybody's, from what I understand, and there's some great people out there that can help with that. There's some great YouTube videos, as a matter of fact, that help with that. I know they're there. If I know their names, they tell me their names. That's awesome. But I don't have to know their names because I just know they're there. So, and sometimes you just have to go on faith. I really, I mean, look, we ghost hunt. Do we know we're going to get results? Nah, we spend all night talking to nobody and
listen to cricket for an hour and a half into your earphones every time. But hey, or more,
So, I mean, I think we naturally go on faith whether we know it or not. So if you want to know who your spirit guides are, though, there's some really great YouTube videos out there that will take you into a meditation, take you into your little happy place, your garden or whatever, and I think they'll help you. Not that kind of happy place. I mean, seriously, just
I got happy places all over the place. My happiest, I mean, of course, is with my son and my wife. But the second, if I had to have an actual place, it would have to be up in the upper Northwest, in the Washington State. Anywhere in Washington State, actually, I would be a happy girl. Because that is, I think I'm the most at peace when I'm in that area. Every time I go up there, I'm so laid back I can actually freaking breathe through my nostrils, which is unheard of in Dallas. I'm just going to say it. Dallas is not good for your allergies.
No, I haven't been able to breathe since I moved here.
Every time I go to Seattle, it takes me about a day, and then I can actually breathe, and then I have to come back here, and then I can't breathe anymore until I go back to Seattle. And I don't know if it's just I don't know. But
so much. Look at all this dust they kick up from breaking up these roads and stuff. I cannot keep up with the dust in my house. I have like an inch every day I look at. There's another inch, I mean, it's just from all this cement dust.
Construction, and we have construction. Lord. I'm just saying, in Texas and North